experience of going into thrift stores and finding photographs, whole albums in some cases of a family's past. And it's not just once, I mean, it's over and over and over. I mean, we have this love of photographs, but then the life of a photograph after a family has passed or a person has passed isn't yet turned. And I find that a really interesting method that you're using to make art, to even if you're not using the photograph directly to make art, as you said, some of them you keep to yourself to inform the thought processes that are driving you.
Right. Because you learn so much about history that way. You look at the ways they're dressed, you look at what they may be doing, where they're at. I love that. I just love going into a photograph and just coming up with this image of where they are, what they're doing, and I like that. I like disappearing into that sort of thing.
Just how do you decide what to share and what not to share? How do you decide in a work of art how to twist the story a little bit and make it a puzzle? Maybe some people are going to figure out and others aren't. When you look at a photograph that really brings you in and you relate to it, you can see yourself in it, but you decide not to put it in a book. How do you decide what to share and not to share?
By the time I've printed up, I've already decided that's going to be shown. There's a really long process that goes into what I do, and it's finding an image, deciding what's going to happen with it, coming up with the text that goes with it, or how it's going to look. And so it's a long process to get there to where it is actually printed on paper. So once it's gotten there, it will go on the wall. There are very few pieces that I have that I'm just kind of like, oh, no, can't do that because they were just a little too strong, a little too. I've never been afraid to share some things about myself. But recently there's been a couple times when I just went a little too far over the edge, just a little too mean in the statement, and so I thought, no, I can't do that. I can't do it. I didn't want to go there. That's not in the same way that I will, that it may be bad. I put it up on the wall and it's on my shoulders. I don't want to give somebody bad. I want to give somebody something bad by putting it up on the wall and giving them that word. They don't need that. So that's the only thing I'm going to be editing out.
You had talked about going through magazines and the stereotypes of who you were supposed to be and how they were constructed in magazines, and using that vocabulary, that existing vocabulary, and doing something. It takes a lot of strength to turn something like that. What is that process? What is that creative expression, that act, and that mental labor you're going through?
Good question. I don't know. I just, in doing that, I was amazed that, and I'm always amazed because it still happens, that people are creating this magazine that they say I should be like this. You can't tell me I should be like this. That's wrong. And in the same way that you get because my name's Lopez, I get the mailings from DirecTV all the time. It says, soccer, soccer, soccer. It's like, Mexicans love soccer. I've never played soccer. I don't watch soccer. I don't care about soccer. It's just like, really? Okay. That they just assume you like these things, and or like these foods, or like this, and I just, to me, it shouldn't be my burden, but that's the way I feel. It's like I got to tell people that we're not all the same, and that's been kind of my mission for a long, long time. It's like, I don't meet that criteria. I really don't. I don't like that kind of food. It's like I get made fun of because I don't really necessarily like Mexican food. But then again, it's like Mexican food is something that I can make at home. If I'm going to a restaurant, I want somebody to cook me something I can't make. Make me something that I can't make, okay? And so I get, my friends poke fun at me about that. It's like, because I'd rather not eat Mexican food. I spent many years with my mother helping her make tortillas and stuff, and it's just, I'm tired of that. I want to do something new. I like to make lasagna, I like to make pizza. It's just the way it is. So it's just like, that's, to me, that's my mission, it's just like, we're not all alike, I don't care if you like, if you like Mexican food, but that's good for you, but not everybody does, that's just the way it is. You can't like lump us all into this one magazine that says, you wear too much makeup, you wear too much jewelry, you're always out salsa dancing, everything that's a Mexican commercial, everybody's doing salsa dancing. It's like, come on, that's, and it's offensive in anything. It's like, you see commercials on TV about women. If it's a women's product, they're eating chocolate and they're dancing. Yeah, chocolate makes me dance. It's just like, people keep putting us into these little boxes and assuming that we're like in a particular way. And so that's just always been my mission, just to, to say, well, I'm not that way, If I were, that's fine, but I'm not. That's not me. That's not what I grew up with. I grew up in Phoenix, and, and not many brown people around, and we didn't speak Spanish. And that's, we have Thanksgiving turkey, so it's, that's just me. That's just, I'm just showing people who I am. And, I'm not a perfect person, but that's just the way I am.
I have two questions in response to that. First, what magazines were you using? I'm really curious. I'd like to look at them.
Hispanic and Latina.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have seen them. I don't read them, but
they're really kind of funny. If I come across one, I just look at it, so I just laugh. And, But a lot of the things that they have in those magazines, I took them out of context.
right.
So there are things that, that say like, you must properly chew your tortilla so you don't choke on it, really. That's so I find them funny. I just find this stuff funny, but they're by us. They're written by Latinos for Latinos, and so I'm always amazed at where are you living? Why are you choking on tortilla?
So in terms of your mission then, to show people that not everybody's the same, not everybody fits into these categories, do you think that it's working in a sense, that people look at your works and start thinking, oh, maybe not all Mexicans like soccer? Or do you think that because you're producing these types of works, that's one of the reasons that you get those calls in May and September to be in these?
It could be, it could be working against me too. So there's so many serious things in the world, and doing this series about my father was just like so different for me, because I don't necessarily like to be serious in my artwork, because they're just, we got to work all day long, we got to do this, we got to do, we have obligations, we got to pay our bills and stuff. But I would rather, I like to think that I have a good sense of humor, and I would like to share that with people, and they're just, and I make myself the butt of my own jokes, because it's just ridiculous, some of the things that I get into, the things that have happened to me, and, that's where a lot of my writing comes from. It's like, I've fallen down a mountain. Just a couple of years ago, it was last year, I tripped backwards over a parking block and dislocated my elbow. I do stupid things like that. I am the clumsiest person in the world. If there's a hole, I'm going to fall in it. That's just the way I am. And so it's like with my artwork, I just try to make it, it's because when you talk about Chicano art, it's always so serious, I'm not that way, so it's just like, so that's why I just try to put the humorous edge in it, because I'm not that way, and it's like I'd rather have fun with what I am and who I am, because hey, I'm enjoying this myself, why not, so that's why I do that. It's my mission, but I just would rather keep it light. If there's some sort of subject, I really made me sad to go into this series about my dad, but that's what was going on with me, and to me, when an artist is doing that, it's like, that's the work I want to see, I want to know about you. I want to know why you're doing this, and you know who you are, and where it comes out of you. So that's why I like the funnier stuff, you know, because my life is just one big comedy.
How important is the art world as it's represented in the Museum of Modern Art or LACMA? Or how important is the news as it's presented in the New York Times or CNN? Does that matter?
It does. It does, but I don't necessarily. I read the New York Times. I like to see what's going on there. I like to see when they highlight art. You know, it's a way more interesting newspaper than our newspaper here. And besides that, it's bigger and it makes for a better, you know, when I'm doing my prints, I need something to dry it on. It's perfect. Yeah, I just, when I go on vacation, I don't like to look at art, you know. My husband does, he's an artist, so it's like you know, he drags me in all these places, but yeah, I see it, but I want to make my art without being influenced by other things that I'm seeing. And I'm glad that people are making art. I want people to be making art. I want people to express themselves in their own ways. And people are always telling me, well, I'm not creative, I'm not an artist. But it's like, but they are doing this fantastic job of landscaping their yard with their plants and their flowers are all beautiful. You know, it's like, that is an art. People that are sewing their own clothes, that's an art. You know, things like that. It's like they don't realize that they are being an artist, that they are being creative. And so I like all the creativity that's going on there in the world. And, you know, it's like a lot of the shows that go on, they don't apply to me anyway, or I just don't see any connection between what they have on the wall and what I'm living, or, you know, it may not be interesting to me. A lot of times it's just my own ignorance of art, you know. My husband will say, you know, he'll start talking to me about a piece, and I just fall in love with it. It's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that, you know. He sees things differently, but he was trained as an artist and stuff like that. I just kind of fell into it and just started doing it on my own. And so you know, that could probably help a lot of other people too, getting more training or learning more about, you know, art, the history of art and that sort of thing, in order to understand what you're seeing. But no, I'm glad that there is art out there in the world, and I'm glad that people are seeing it. And it'd be nice if there were more, more open to others in museums. That would be nice. Because, you know, it's only so many times you want to see the same Monet